guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
I'm Daniel.
This is the Board Game Rundown, and today we're going to do a preview of LA-1 from Trick or Treat Studios. This is designed by Richard Lanius, friend of the show. Not really, but could be. Taryn Kratz, who I don't know, but he seems cool. And Pete Shirley, also super cool. We're just going to...
P.S. You're cool.
Shirley. Yeah, I don't know. I apologize. Shirley? I added an L.
Surely you can't be serious.
Yeah,
Stop
I'm
calling
a
me Shirley.
bad friend, but be our friend and we'll never say it wrong again.
Well,
Okay, so in LA-1, we are all part of a private investigation firm, and we do everything on the up. The bad thing is that like nuclear bombs have gone off, the atomics, and basically all the stuff in LA on ground level is awful. And so all of the rich and prosperous folks have moved up to the City of Angels, above the smoke cloud that covers, the smog and everything
Best bet.
of Old Angeles and the underworld. So we have 3 different city districts, all with different locations that we can go to. And depending on the case, the board will be seeded with clues and tokens that we can grab and do things with. And so where there's going to be cases, there's a campaign mode where you can play, where you were going to have like, at least what we have seen, you get an item that carries on to the next campaign. And the cases that we have seen, one is we're looking for fugitives, and without going into spoilers, with the second one, there's just like somebody got murdered, and we're gonna investigate suspects
spoilers.
and things. And that's it. That's all I'll say about it.
Okay.
But yes, we only have the prototype version. It had those 2 cases, and so they do definitely play. You're going to be taking the same actions, but they're gonna have a different vibe and different feeling. Because in the first one, you start with no money. That's really tough. And there was a breakout of prisoners from, I forget the name of the jail, but it was a nasty name.
Arkham Asylum.
Wait a minute. Not that one.
TM.
But anyways, we're trying to capture the prisoners, gain the bounties to pay off our bills. Anyways. On your turn, you basically, there's 3 phases. There's the darkness phase where you're going to rotate the lead investigator, and then we will draw and resolve a darkness card, and that will be done by the lead investigator because there can be choices on there that will be up to that person. And it usually has 2 or 3 different areas, and you're just going to start at the top, resolve it, go to the middle one, resolve it, and if there's a bottom one, resolve it. Usually all those things are going to contribute to this darkness tracker, and as that moves, the city is starting to succumb to the darkness, and if it passes one of those thresholds, it's going to turn a location dark, which is going to slide it over, and now it means we also can't go past that point, right? That's bad.
Can't retreat past that.
Right. There are spots on the board that we can pass that will allow us to refresh the tokens, which is really handy because it's going to throw a bunch of clues out on the...
Yes.
At least in the one... Yeah, it should, because that wasn't case specific. So really cool, really handy. And then likely there will be those little alert tokens, and the case book is going to tell you how to seed those on the board. Usually it's like when you get to one, find card 32.
Right. Triggers an event.
Pull it out of the box, read it. Not all of them are bad.
Not all of them are bad.
It's just something that kind of drives the plot forward.
Right.
Yep, moves the story along.
On these locations, they're going to give you all different kinds of things. They're going to have actions you can do because it's got that nice little arrow. But you're basically going to get to do 2 actions on your turn. You can move. Well, that's pretty easy. Moving here, no problem. Moving up here, you need a passport, which you can gain by either finding a token that's got them on there, or you can buy one for credits there, unless something tells you start with one, which can happen in a case.
Yeah.
You can lay low, which you've got these heat tokens. You can pull them out of there to get the cops off your back. You can prepare. You can draw cards from your deck, 1 to 3, up to your hand size. Or discard down to your hand size, excuse me. So you can draw up to 3. Usually your hand size is 5. There's the black market. So you can add a heat token and then buy one of the items that is in the black market. If you were to buy that item, you're going to pay the cost associated with it. It's there on the board. And that item space immediately refills. You're going to randomly draw a token from the bag. Here's a hot tip. You can move an encounter to the bottom of the deck at the location you're at. There's stakeouts and there's investigations. Investigations will tend to say, hey, these are the attributes you're going to find. Stakeouts can kind of be anything.
Yeah.
But also are supposed to be easier.
Allegedly.
They usually just relate to the fate deck and like percentage chance of stuff happening and choices that you make rather than a skill
I do feel like at least one of those stakeouts like kicked me in the neck. It was rough.
One of them just draw one of those cards, and that gave us a skill check.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
You can bribe a contact. So in each city district, there is a skill deck you can buy from. And so for 5 credits, you can buy one of the cards. Basically, you're going to draw 3, keep 1. And it's from the associated skill decks in the cities. They are attribute related, so you will have an idea of what kind of attributes you're going to be getting out of there. There's also for your actions, character, location, specific actions. All the characters are asymmetric, have their own abilities and different things they do. They also have their own unique starting skill decks, which are really cool. And then the other action you can do is analyze one of the tokens you have. So if you've got one of these tokens and it's all broken down on the player aid, you can do the thing and get it. It's pretty straightforward. Read the thing, do the thing.
Right.
Yeah, basically
Read the
just
card,
remember
space card.
getting the token doesn't give you the bonus, it's analyzing the token.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Super important. Super important. So yeah, on your turn, any 2 actions, you can repeat them. Whatever you want to do. You can also go to Mason Doyle Investigations. You can spend 10 credits, get a card from the upgraded skill deck. These
Super
are really
strong.
good. They're $10, but they're really good. And then that one also will allow you to move to another location. Again, same movement rules apply. So if you're going to go to City of Angels, you need to have a passport because it's nice up there and they don't want riffraff like us. Then you would move on to the investigation phase, and that's where on your turn you could spend clue tokens to advance a case. So if that applies to where you're at, you could do that. You could investigate, so you would resolve either a stakeout or an investigation card, whatever's the top one on the deck. Or you could fight darkness, so you could discard 2 karma, and if the location you're at is dark, you could discard 2 karma and move it over. Now it's light again. Hooray! Or you can rest and discard 2 face down damage cards. And if you are at Mason Doyle, you can discard an additional face down damage. And it specifies face down damage because the first 2 are going to be face down. The third one's going to be face up. It might give you, like this is a leg injury, so all my skill checks -1 to move. That stinks. And then you'd go 2 more face down. Then your 6th one will be face up. 7th one kills you. There are rules to if a character dies, you can come back as an unplayed character, but we're not going to get to that in this preview. Yeah, and then you're going to rinse and repeat. We're going to keep going until we have resolved the case, or the darkness tracker gets all the way to the end, bad times, and darkness has overcome the city, and then you will get out of the box the numbered card that it tells you to read if you have failed the case. That's the real quick and dirty on how to play LA-1.
That's it, see?
Yeah, see? And this is a preview. So we're going to kind of share our thoughts and our experiences with this. We played it a few times now. And we've seen some really different things happen in both games. So it's kind of interesting and fun. I guess we should explain real quick. When you're doing a skill check, you got this fate deck. This is a really neat mechanic, in my opinion. You're going to basically, it'll say like test your moxie. And so you can play a card from your hand that's got moxie. Well, now we've got +1. I need to get to a moxie of 5. Anybody else that is also at that location can add a card, a single card. You can play as many cards as you want from your hand. You must determine all the cards you're going to play first. Then you're going to reveal a fate card. Well, that's mechanical. That doesn't do me any good. I can spend a karma to redraw the fate card. Or if I have that skill ability that with the arrow, that's going to allow me to sort of push that card out of the way. So let's pretend like I had that. Well, that's mine. That still doesn't help.
Right out.
Right? So now I'd spend a karma and go, there's a fate +1. Anytime, and that's a luck one. So anytime you have a card that it applies to your skill check, you must keep drawing. If you overperform at your skill, you succeed by 3 or more, you're going to get a heat token because now you're just showing off and you're drawing attention to yourself. If you fail, you're going to do what the fail thing says on the card. It can be any variety of things. Usually, it can be like take a damage, advanced darkness, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, that's very brief and fast on how you play LA-1. Spencer,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think of LA-1? Again, prototype.
It's very sci-fi noir.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that too. I liked reading a lot of the encounters and the things that are going on. There are just so many cards over there. And we had played with this character this time who comes with a mutation, which is one of the cards. So there's a whole bunch of these things. Every character's asymmetric ability is rather asymmetric. This character didn't feel like any of the other characters. And they all are bringing something to the table, which is very nice. And this is a cooperative game, but it was a pretty tough one.
Yeah.
My biggest caveat is it is a little slow, especially in the beginning campaign. You're starting off with 0 money, slows it down a lot. Also, when you grab one of these tokens, you put it. You only get 2 actions a turn. So I have this one, and I'm like, okay, I'll have to wait till next turn to actually get the thing. I kind of.
Or you could have bought it and analyzed it, and that would have been your 2 actions.
Entire turn.
Yep.
I don't know. It feels to me like you spent the money and the time to get this thing. You might as well just get the thing. I understand. These are more powerful, but the 2 passports for 5 over there, I can get 1 for 3, and I'm not having to waste an additional action to do it.
Sure.
So for the same number of actions and 1 more
But
thing.
if this location is dark,
Dun dun dun.
Yeah,
Oh, this is true.
and that gives
This
you
is
2
true.
passports. This only gives you 1.
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the
I
game.
challenge your criticism of the economy of the game. I'm just kidding.
I'm valid to my opinion, or I'm
You
know,
sure?
entitled to it?
my
Sure
opinion
you are.
entitled to my valid opinion.
I'm entitled.
Period. Yeah, there's actually these cards here. There's a lot on just these, and since there's only so many
Orange tokens.
yeah, there's only so many orange tokens, and there's only so many hostages, or not hostages, wanted fugitives.
Bounties.
Hostages. Wait, well,
Boy, it's all a matter of perspective, I
Yeah, no
guess.
kidding.
Are we the good guys? Yeah, so you actually run into some interesting things on these cards as well, and then you have to fight these guys, and they might escape. So yeah, just because you have found them doesn't mean you've actually
Caught them.
Caught them. I did enjoy it a lot, and like I said, I like the whole sci-fi noir kind of thing, replicants and all that.
Yeah. The mutation, the androids, the mutants, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Bobby.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I'm really curious to see where the story's gonna go, because I do like that detective noir type of feel to it. This Fate deck was very interesting the way it pushes, although it does run you out of karma super quickly. Tim's character seemed really strong when it came to that because he could just spend his heat tokens, and those are relatively easy to get back, whereas karma tokens can be very difficult to get sometimes. My character's asymmetrical ability didn't feel super useful because I had to fail skill checks in order to get it to trigger, and we didn't want to fail skill checks, so I felt like it never really went off.
Yeah, but the skill cards in your deck that are specific to you.
Yes.
I mean-
I do have
Yeah.
cool items that are
gear and
pretty
stuff.
strong.
I'm gonna
Yes.
say that everybody's
I'm not
abilities
questioning balance. I'm
definitely
just saying
helped
my
us win the
actual
game.
asymmetrical ability never triggered.
Yeah, but I
because
think you
we
have
always
to-
pushed to
Right.
try to succeed on the missions because that was always seemed more beneficial at the time.
Yeah.
But no, I guess I thought it was super interesting. It does feel a little limiting with only the 2 actions because okay, I'm gonna move here, I'm gonna do this. Oh wait, I'm done already. Okay, then you gotta kind of wait for it to come back around again. But you kind of get used to that kind of a thing. That I have to okay, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna gain this token or whatever, and then now I gotta wait till my next turn to come around to actually use the token to gain those karma or whatever. I think it's interesting how when you gain money, you can either gain it to your personal supply or you can put
that
it
was only
straight
this case scenario.
Oh,
That
this
was
case-
only this
yeah.
case.
Right.
Okay.
It's because this case needs money.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, as I say, it'll be interesting to see where
Right.
the future
Sure.
cases say about that. Because I like getting the money and buying the upgrades and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's one of the most fun parts to me is upgrading my deck and trying to get better cards in there.
And the items in these things are awesome.
Yeah, the skill cards, the upgrades are really nice, especially comparative to what you kind of start with, a bunch of the 1s and 2s, and you have this one's good for 3 or 4 different actions, and so that's super helpful.
yeah. Dan literally had a wild card. I
Yeah.
was so jealous.
Yeah.
I know.
There's a ton of cards in this little filing cabinet here, so it'll be grab a random number one of these and do what's on it. So that kind of added a lot of variety variety to our playthrough, so you weren't getting like the same missions like over and over again. So that's nice. And then the fact that when you reseed the board, you get to add more of those orange, because you've got to have those orange tokens in order to actually search the file cases on the side and actually find the people you're looking for. So that's nice that it kind of like repopulates the board as you're
And there's times where you're like,
game.
well, we kind of need the darkness to move up so that we can get that thing.
Right.
You know,
Populate
so,
the board, yeah.
So as long as you've like taken enough tokens off there to trigger the extra orange ones, then you might as well like, let's do the extra darkness thing in the phase. So
right.
yeah, but it was fun. Like I said, I definitely want to play more of the cases to see how the story like unfolds and what other new items and stuff become available. The damage system, I never took any damage, so I can't really comment too much on that. Tim, what's the damage like?
It hurts.
It's bad.
It was, but that's another interesting way that it works, because you have like the two face down, then a face up, and then some healing things will only heal face down, some will only heal like face up, and some will just heal any of them. So you kind of watch which ones you get.
And I did have a face up one that was like lucky something, and it just went away right away. So I
Right.
was like, yay!
And some of the face-up ones they don't do anything.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, they're just they say get rid of it or whatever.
Someone get rid of them. Someone sit there.
Oh, okay.
They did. Yeah, you got one of those. Does
Well, I had one that, but it did something. It gave me negative.
no, remember you flipped one over and he said this does nothing, and you put it back on top.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
yeah,
and then
does that-
Spencer said one just sits there.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't see that one. But then like unlike other deck builders where like your deck runs out and then you automatically just reshuffle and go, you got to really be careful about timing that. When do I draw? When do I reshuffle? Because you have to force a location to go dark in order to get your discard cards back in there. So when there's in-game effects that let you reset your discard pile for free, you kind of want to jump on those, because having to pay the fate tokens to move those stacks of cards back and forth can be a hefty toll. But no, overall though, I thought it was interesting, and it ran a little long, but we only played it a couple of times, and there was a little bit of rules reference and whatnot. So I'm sure that'll shorten up with more plays,
And
as you more familiarized.
I think, as you'll hear as we go on, that was, I think, also going to be mission specific, because we started with no money on that one.
Right. Yeah, and then having to build that money up
Yeah.
and then start doing stuff. Yeah.
Right. Daniel.
Oh, this one is tough. No, I mean like it's really hard. This is a grindy, hard game, case specific, blah blah blah. You guys have heard it a million times. But this was it's a rough one to get into. I think that overall, I did enjoy the game. I like what they're trying to do here. I like the world. I like most of the mechanics. That Fate deck is awesome. The fact that you choose before each skill test whether to shuffle the discard pile back in, basically,
that's so
basically
good.
to manipulate your odds of your personal skill test. But then you also have to realize you are, if you're first in turn order, you are messing that deck back up for everyone coming after you too and stuff. There's a lot that entire deck system with when you can push, when you have to keep playing, when you stop, when you spend karma, when you reshuffle. Best part of the game is just how much thought went into that system. Because I've seen similar systems like that before, with a deck that you're flipping over cards and they're increasing skill test something. I always go back to BSG with it, but there's plenty of games that do it. This one is the most interesting one I've ever seen. That Fate deck is awesome. I think that my two criticisms to the game, just openly, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but generally, is I think we'll see how much they change from prototype to main game. That's always going to be a cycle that happens in this industry. I think that if this is the plan to be the starting scenario, I don't think that's a good idea. There's a lot of games like this that have a starting scenario that is meant to kind of just show you the ropes and have you kind of sandbox play it and everything. And this one does that by saying, super easy goal, get a lot of money. Well, how do we make the goal get a lot of money? Well, we have to take their money away. If they start with a bunch of money like they're supposed to, then they're too advanced into their goal already, right? Or they can level up too fast and throw their money away. We want them to find the money important. But by doing that, you're throwing this game at new players that have to learn all these rules, and then on top of that, it feels really slow, like what you've been hearing here. So much of the game is you just spending 2 actions to try to get $6 so that hopefully next turn you can do something interesting. And I don't think that is a problem with the scenario design or the game design. I think that's fine to have. I wouldn't have it in your opening scenario. What people want is they want to see what the cool stuff the game is. Give me all this money, give me this stuff. This guy starts with mutations, start people with mutations, show them what you can do, and then take it away from them slowly, or take it away from them in scenario 2 and say, okay, first scenario is X, second scenario takes us back in time, and we have to figure out how we got to where we just were, right? And we start with nothing, but now we know what all the good stuff feels like, and we know what we want. We can be like, oh, I want to work towards that deck because that deck felt great when I had it, or man, I really want to get more mutations because that one I had was really fun. You want to show people what the biggest positives are of the game out front, and then make them grind for those things instead of grinding for something that is hopefully good, right? So that's just a blatant, like kind of opening any game. I would say that about any game that has this kind of intro. Just make it a bit more chaotic, interesting at the beginning. Throw stuff at us, and then I don't know. The overall thing again is this is a really fun hard cooperative game. I really did enjoy it. I love this skill check system that we've seen in games. This whole playing cards in your hand, other people can help you. You're trying to reach a certain number. I like that in this one you can overreach. That's really cool. But yeah, I just think the fact that the game, this scenario starts you out a little slow and plays a little long, that's just going to negatively affect some people that play it. And it's unfortunate because I think this is a good game that is just kind of poorly shown initially to people. But if you actually look through the whole rule book and learn all the rules, and if you look at other scenarios, and if you actually play the game and see what it's offering, you're like, oh, this is really good. Their storytelling here is interesting. Their world is interesting. So I just really hope they do something to increase people's first impressions, because that's what matters.
Maybe like an easier like case 0 where you're like arrest somebody, you find somebody, and then like, oh, now his minions are hacked into your system and stolen all your money, and you gotta get the credits back to pay your rent.
Literally, even just the fact that this scenario starts, we're taking this case because we're poor. That's the whole thing, right? The thing explains you're poor, so you're trying to do these bounties to get a bunch of money. So just have a case 0 where we start with like, not an abundance of resources, but a good amount of resources. We do a quick session 0, and at the end of it, we go in debt to someone and have to pay them
back
all the money we have. Boom, we are now in debt, set up for this scenario, and now we're in the right mindset. We understand.
Because that lets you go through and kind of experience everything. I was going to say, and this is not near as good, I don't think, as your idea, is you just swap the first two cases.
Sure, yeah, I haven't.
Because all you good with the murder mystery thing, because that's what the second case is going to be. And then it's like, well, somebody is still pissed off the way that you resolved it. And then they drain your bank account. Like, you caught them for murder, but they're goon or somebody, or before they go to jail,
hacks in.
They wreck your bank account. Anyways, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's basically it. I'm sure I remember other things as stuff comes up. Oh, the only other thing is, again, getting us in the right mindset with the first impressions is going to be a big part of it. But man, does 2 actions per turn suck.
I like it.
Spencer, you were right.
Yeah. Third action would
would open up this game, man. But I'm not a designer. I'm not a balancer. You guys do all the work, and I appreciate the work that you do. So I will accept the 2 actions with a grimace on my face.
Can you grab the box real quick? I want to see the extra character card, because I don't. Oh, no, wait. No. Never mind. I remember now.
It's the yellow guy.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. Because what would be interesting is to have one character has a third action.
Right, just like a lot of games do, where the one player has no special ability, but they get an extra general action.
Yeah. They get an extra action. But because I think the 2 actions is great, and I will tell you why. It's tight. It's restricting.
Yep.
It makes your decisions super important. Dan had a free move every turn. And there were several turns where he's like, well, I don't have anything to do with this third move. Or third action.
But he wanted a third action that wasn't a move.
Right. I only need to move once on my turn.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Well, there was one time where it was useful to move twice. But anyways, I think 2 actions is plenty, especially because when you've got a bunch of these tokens, sure, having that extra action, it would be really nice to have, right? Or to just immediately gain the thing instead of having to analyze the token. But it also makes you be more judicious with your stuff. When we've played both times, we finished right in this area, just a few darkness away, which really also, like, I don't want to say we were like lollygagging around and doing stuff, but it really did force us both games to push that end game, like, oh crap. And so maybe we just needed to push the end game earlier. But also, like, the first case does run on a little bit, and I think it's because you start with no resources, and it's really hard to build them up, and because you want to get some decent cards, because these investigations will smack you around.
Yeah.
And it is tough because you don't have any money, you're basically removing the black market from the first half
I don't
of
think
the
either
first
game we
case.
bought anything from the black market.
The first game we bought 1 or 2 things. The
Yeah.
second game we didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
But it's so cost prohibitive.
One thing.
You did?
It also makes it makes it so you're not really buying any cards from the skill decks, which again removes a very cool aspect of the game.
Right.
In that
'Cause
first
the skills
case.
go right to your hand, so that's I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. When you get a new
Increasing your
skill.
hand size
Yeah.
instantly is pretty
Well,
crazy.
not your hand size, but
The amount of cards you have in your hand for the active skill.
sure.
check.
Yeah, is important. It's
is.
super important. And plus, just better cards, right? Higher
Yes.
values,
Yep.
more, maybe even more versatile cards,
Diversification, yeah.
things like that. But this, aside from the first scenario, running long, I really enjoy this. I think it's super fun. We all love challenging co-ops. When you watch the playthrough, you're going to see moments where we're like, oh no, like, oh yes, it's very exciting. That means to me that the game made us all feel stuff, it did its job, it provided a really good experience. We've got fun stories to tell. Like any game with asymmetric characters, there was so many times where I was jealous of what everybody else was getting to do with their asymmetric abilities. They were all super useful. Some of them more situational than others, but man, when we needed it, it was good, like really good.
His character's broken.
I like Tim's characters.
Yeah, I did. I liked my character quite a bit, but I didn't have near as many items and everything as everybody else did.
Sure.
So there's some different. There's
Trade-off,
good give and
yeah.
take there, right? I appreciate the unique deck builds and all of that. I like the way that the location decks work. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I like how you can kind of what was that
Cycle.
called? The hot tip.
Hot tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could try to cycle them
I'm
down.
not good at those. Let me try to get a stakeout. Might be a little easier to do.
The only other thing I would add is if there was some slightly easier way to get a token. Sometimes.
Just these.
Yeah, like any kind of these if there was
Yeah, you just have to hope the investigation allows you to take one.
Yeah. And and again, it kind of, I don't want to say slows the game down, but it does make you grind a little bit, right? And I know Dan and I at least play video games where you've got to grind, and that's not a problem. That's not a bug. That's a feature. And this, though, I do feel like by the end, it felt very rewarding because it was so difficult. Like both times when we won, when we solved the case, did the thing, it felt really good.
Yeah.
We all had a really good time. So I appreciate all of those things. I really look forward to seeing what the full version of this game looks like because I think there's a ton of really cool stuff. I will say, though, I agree with some of the critiques of the first case. I think the first case is really fun and really interesting, and it's
maybe shouldn't
hard.
be the first case.
But being the first case, it's really tough because it's like, oh, hey, guys, you might as well ignore these and that for the first hour of you playing because it's going to be really hard to get money. And that's the other thing is maybe there just needs to be easier ways to get money instead of tokens.
First turn I spent just adding heat to get $6.
Right, you spent 2 heat, got $6, and then everybody glowered at you for not adding it to the pot.
Because even that first case, because my hero says I start with 3 credits and some karma, but it literally says in the first case thing, don't start with the credits that you would start with.
I didn't
it's
start with my
man, I didn't even
6.
Yeah.
Right, I could have bought a card right off the bat. Right.
And I really think like a case 0 where everybody starts with $10, and then you have to just basically there's a couple of one card on each of these spots. You're just trying to find the guy, and then you can either spend your money buying these, you can spend your money buying upgrades if you want, and then you just try to find just a real simple 60-minute scenario to kind of get you into it, and easy to get upgrades and whatnot.
Right.
And that may be a thing.
Yeah,
that may
exactly.
be a thing.
Yeah,
It's a prototype. That's just our opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't worry about them, putting it all in the bank because you have to go to Mason Doyle's investigations to put it in the bank. You're wasting time to do it, so that kind of balances that out.
And the other thing is also you don't have to play campaign mode. You could just
Right.
go to the case you want.
True.
Yep.
So if you're going to play a case, just don't pick this one if you're
Exactly.
introducing new players. If you're playing campaign mode, I guess you need to start with this one, but maybe not. We'll see what happens. Again, prototype. Overall, though, really good time. I love the theme. I love the vibe.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. It really, I don't know about you guys, but the vibe and the theme like really came through with like the lore and the text on the cards and all that stuff. And
I love reading.
Yeah,
cards,
reading the cards.
man.
Yeah. You'll ever see our playthrough if you watch it. We're all like, get to the voice.
Yeah, it's just it makes games 3 times better being able to read like events that are happening.
yeah, and it was even more fun when like we're reading other.
Other people.
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
can't
don't
read
know.
ahead.
We forgot to do that for like 80% of the
We
game,
did,
but
yeah,
like that is what we usually do.
Like that's what we should have been doing. It makes it a lot more fun.
Now, in my defense, I never read ahead to see what the pros and
No,
cons would
right,
be,
sure, me neither. But like, it is easier when someone else is reading it and you're like, "Ooh, what's happening?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, really fun. I really enjoyed this. Lots of potential here. Because there's so many things you can do with the cases. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that old video game LA Noir.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
sure.
you're going through and different things you can do. Yeah,
Doubt.
yeah, yeah. I don't.
That's a great game. When's the sequel? Rockstar.
Yeah, it's-
GTA 6.
No, they got to keep making Grand Theft Auto games.
That's right.
But anyways, that's my thing. I really hope they keep this player board the way that it is
Right.
because having all of the actions there
Yeah.
And the
was
tokens.
amazing.
And the tokens.
And
Yeah,
or
token
and your
breakdown.
player card goes here. Like, it's great, like little dossier like player board. I like a lot. Now, if it was like triple layered,
Yeah.
right, that'd be
Right.
a lot better.
Yeah, you take your card and slide it
Yeah,
in
exactly. I don't know
there.
what I would put in it.
Yeah.
Or the player board is just the card, like with your character, and then on the back it tells you your starting
I
stuff.
see, I see. No, I want it like it needs to like unfold and like
And then a
transform
hologram?
into a life-size version of my character.
Life size.
Nice
That
size.
dude's huge.
Yes.
But we're still just going to keep standing.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Dan, can you get your character's head out of the light? We can't see.
It's just wings.
The lighting looks like at Bob's house. There's all his old lighting.
Fix that.
Mine's not any better, man.
But anyway, super fun. Really enjoyed it overall. I mean, no game is perfect.
As much fun as I had with this, and with the reading, the investigations and whatnot, like if they teamed up with like
Oh,
Foreteller,
sure.
and
Oh,
had
gosh,
someone-
I would
There's
do it.
too much here.
I know there's
Hire
a
me, I'll
lot
do
to
it.
read,
I'd love
but
to.
yeah, like that'd be cool to have like your app or your sound system going. You have like like the rain in the
Yeah,
background,
dude.
lightning strikes, and you can hear like
Dude,
the
I
thunder
would
rolls.
Yeah,
totally do
But
that.
then here's the thing: is you've got like the mood, the apps playing the thing,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, so read card 52 to me, and then you've got Spencer. Hello there. It like totally takes you out of the whole.
so immersive.
I know it's a small thing, but I like that that's actually a file cabinet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
What
yeah,
we're
it's
getting all the
super cool.
cards out of.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's super cool, very fun. I also love that it's random card number 6.
Yeah, there's
right?
like
yeah,
5 or
there's
6
lot-
of them. You
yeah.
gotta pull one out, so it's not this one.
Gives you
It's
some-
never
Exactly.
the
The
same.
replayability.
Because again, playing it again, we did see a few things that were the same,
Yeah,
but we
but
definitely
for the
saw
most part,
different
different,
things,
yeah.
which was awesome too. But anyways, I really recommend this overall. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys?
No. Again, I would just say I recommend the game with the caveat of you're still in this review 30 some minutes in. Listen to our words. You know,
Yeah.
Yep.
we've given you our opinion on how everything plays now. If it sounds and looks interesting to you, then it
Yeah,
is.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, please consider liking, subscribing. If you're still here, you probably already have, but that's okay. One day we'll do this at the top of the video. But that's not today.
It's not today.
Anyways, for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Spencer.
Daniel.
We'll see you next time.
If you can say the title's only 3 words.